Good evening. Welcome to another episode of Dissect. I go by the name of Novelist.
And I go by the name of Jewel.
And of course, we also have, for the first time, a special co host. And she should pop up on the screen any second now to give you her name.
Good evening, Miss Proper here. How y'all
and,
doing?
and
Nice to have another female on the panel.
Whoop,
Thank
whoop.
you, Holly,
hey,
for
hey,
doing
hey, 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 go easy, all right? Go
welcome.
easy.
Thank you.
So, what's going on, guys?
It's not cold today in Texas, so I'm happy.
Oh, yeah, you had your little dip freezer. So, is it back to normal or is it just
It's like
getting there?
60. It's like 60, but I feel bad for up north because it's moving, you know.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah.
worry.
It was really
Over here,
cool.
we got boomerangs. We'll bang that back up.
No, no, it's not.
So
Yeah, we had minus 20 today. Yeah,
Oh,
it
God.
was
yeah,
really cold today.
yeah, it's really cold.
Wow.
I man. Anyway, it'll be over soon. February is a short month. So welcome to Dissect, everybody, and yeah, we have another exciting episode for you guys, and today we're gonna get a little bit educational, I guess. I'm taking it, away from the music and the entertainment part of things, which is a good thing. So, if you are watching us on YouTube, you're watching us on our Facebook, make sure you subscribe or follow any of these pages that you got it logged on to. And I guess, I'm sitting in the company of two beautiful females, so I will have them introduce the show. And I probably should go get some water and just mind my business tonight.
Oh well, all right. Well, since you sang ladies first, let's take the opportunity and do ladies first. Okay. Well, this evening we
Right?
have a guest by the name of Destiny Savory, and she is an aspiring wellness coach, and she's here to talk about her new book called In the Eye of the Storm, and also to tell us about some work that she's been doing as a wellness coach. So, um, and maybe we should just bring her to the stage so she could tell us a little bit more about herself. Good
Good evening,
evening.
madam.
Evening.
Okay. Hello, thank you for having me.
Yes.
Yes.
So
Thanks
this
for
is the first
joining
time
us.
that we're having three hosts on the show. Um, we're blessed to have uh, Proper Miss Proper on here because she is knowledgeable about the topic that we have about wellness. She also does her own wellness show, kind of Instagram show, right?
Hmm.
Is it an Instagram show you do, Miss Proper?
Yes. It's called Check In for Women Veterans. Yeah.
Right. So we're going to
Mhm.
be talking about wellness, and I think that's fitting to have her on the show. So, and Destiny, let's tell the audience a little bit about you. Give us a little bit of background, where you're from, first of all, because we like to talk about that on Dissect because we're multicultural here. So, tell us.
Hmm.
Well, I was born in Trinidad and Tobago, the beautiful island, the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. And my family migrated to Canada in the 80s. So even though I live in the Great North, they say I am still a true Trinidadian. I still cook my Sunday dinners, my traditional Trini, callaloo, pilau, so, and I just love my culture. I love that. It just makes me into the person who I want to be and who I need to be in terms of my work and like just my agenda and my projects and what I want to do. I think being Caribbean for me, in Canada and living as a young woman who identifies also as a person of disability, and um, what would I say? Just having a plethora of experiences, travel, people, culture that kind of makes up my work and what I do. I was originally a social worker. I went to school for social work, and So that whole need to a sense of community and health, that I really did get that from the Caribbean, from my grandmothers, from my family, serving, hospitality, and all that stuff. So it's just I brought that with me from the Caribbean to Canada, and I'm serving my community. I've been serving more than 21 years, probably like since we're in 2023, it's probably about, yeah, 23 years now. And it's just been an honor to serve, but also to give back to my community. Um, During the pandemic, I was able
Mhm.
to take a pivot, right, and basically move from social work, healthcare, and sexual health educator, doing wellness stuff, educating women on their health and body self care, self love. It was that time that I was still, that I took the time to work on me, my greatest project, and get myself,
Mhm.
mind, body, and spirit feeling whole during the pandemic. There's something about being quiet and being still. People call it grounding, meditation, whatever you need to do. But I think well, people said, the pandemic kind of threw them off, but the pandemic actually was a catalyst into moving me into my purpose and into my destiny, where I feel like I'm operating in right now as an
Mhm.
author, inspirational speaker, and a coach.
Mhm.
So that quiet time, and obviously, I don't know if there's any single ladies here, but some people are married and stuff, but like as a young single woman too, even taking that time to like, really tune in about factoring your relationships and how people treat you and how people move with you and whatever. And I remember seeing stories of people stacking up with the persons or whatever, and I'm just like, I'm gonna take a break. I'm good, And I really think that time of taking that time to to be with myself, to love myself, and to rediscover, and like I said, pivot. That quiet time, I was really be able to focus in and say, okay, you know what? When the world does open up, how can I make an impact? And I think
Mhm.
at that time, it was definitely going to be through health and wellness. Through the pandemic, I post my videos of working out at 5 a.m. with my trainer. People are like, "Are you crazy? You're working out in your bedroom?" I'm like, "Yeah, there's nowhere else.
Mhm.
Like living room, bedroom, stairs. Like we did what we had to do, right?" And people were like, "Oh my gosh, wow!" And I actually got fitter. I didn't sit down. When the weather got better, I walk and go stroll. The only thing that was open was the beer store, the liquor store, and the cannabis store and the grocery, right? And that's
Okay.
no pharmacy. There really wasn't much open, Costco or Walmart.
Okay.
So
So during that time, so you told us you've done a lot during the pandemic. You were able to pivot and try to take some time to meditate and understand yourself more. And during that time, is that when you came up with the idea of writing the book?
yes, yes, both writing the book and I got the name for my business. So writing the
Okay, so
book,
can you just tell us?
writing the book, writing the book
Oh,
is actually composed out of several journals. So journaling, people say, "Oh, well, I'm not a writer. I don't write and whatever." But there are a lot of people that actually do journal. So if you're journaling, you're a writer. I
right.
took different stories that I thought um, would speak to the experiences that I went through, unfortunately, with the Ontario healthcare system, if you know about that, and the mess that it's in right now. So, for example, long emergency hospital waits. Right now, I believe it's actually a 20-hour wait if you go into emergency right
Oh,
Oh
now.
wow,
wait a minute.
that's crazy. That's
This is why I
madness.
know. And I thank God I haven't been in the hospital. But last year, January, I celebrated my what do you call it? My New Year's, and everything was great. Christmas was great, and I started to feel heart palpitations. I felt like my heart, like I was having a heart attack, and I ended up on January. maybe up to January 3rd in the hospital with a hypertensive crisis. So,
Wow.
right? So, like I said, like my path to wellness is it's definitely been a journey. It does it. I tell people, health is wealth. You know, you
Yeah.
could do anything. You could go anywhere. You could raise how many children. You could do
Mm.
whatever. But trust me, when something catch you, when they say you're diagnosed with this and you're diagnosed with that, unfortunately, I was diagnosed with an uncurable condition. But you know what? They say that. I took it in. I took
Right.
it in. I took it in. But mm, I've had to learn to adapt. It's within a pandemic when I couldn't get my medication and I couldn't get my the necessary just regular treatment, and
Right.
I'm going to the doctor or going to the what do you call it, specialist. I basically had to turn back into my roots.
Yeah.
My roots was like Caribbean, you know, make your own teas, making your
Mm.
own teas to lower your blood pressure, making your own like
Yeah.
drinking your own stuff, rubbing your own stuff on your skin because now because of the stress I'm breaking out with eczema and all these things. So I turned into like literally going also going natural. My hair, my different like my natural hair is actually very beautiful curl that I'm actually gonna leave one day when I'm ready. I'm gonna shave down the sides and do what I need to do with it. But you know, I just say like it's a whole when people think of health, it's a whole mind, body, and spirit. I believe in holistic health. And so that's where I'm like, oh, great. When people are watching me, now people are watching me online, not giving up, still moving forward during the pandemic, still, I didn't have a job, but I had to do something, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's like, yeah. So it's just definitely been a journey of that finding what makes how does destiny operate. It's funny because for me, people look at me, they're like, "Oh wow, wow," but I don't look like I have invisible illness.
Mhm.
And
Do you write? So you said you journal and you write about this your journey, obviously in your journaling, um, and you have 7 chapters. Is that your previous book? Because
seven,
I have your previous book.
yeah, yeah, I
So your
use
new book will be 7 chapters as well.
so no, so I took different stories from my journal and I comprised it into 7 chapters. The editor cut and paste and did whatever they had to do, but they just kind of basically took the stories the specific, and when I say specific, things like leaving the country and coming back into the country and being held in customs because they thought that I was a drug mule, right? Um, that story, unfortunately, I had to take out, but I had a bit, I talked a little bit about it, but like coming back into the country and then being held and then being sent to the hospital and then in the hospital actually getting treatment that I didn't even know that I needed and literally propelling my whole journey to getting a proper diagnosis.
Wow.
So like these are like specific stories. I have so much things that I still that I had that unfortunately was edited out of the book, and that's why I'm writing a second book to
Mm.
kind of like put more emphasis on what it means to go through everyday life with a chronic illness or chronic pain, but not letting that get the best of me, right? I still live my best life with my diagnosis.
Okay.
Right.
Um, are you willing to talk a little bit about what that diagnosis is without
Yes.
being medical? Because you're not a medical professional, but um, just so our audience could get a little glimpse into what it is. I mean, there may be people watching that you can speak to right now,
Right.
and that's part of, I think, your role as a wellness coach is to speak your truth and to educate people. So part of the reason that you're on the show is to just speak to it and be quite frank about even the medical system that you have to experience, the lack of um, service or knowledge that they have to figure out where you're at right now. So if you want to speak to that, um,
Right. So, I just want to say that I've been in pain and living with this condition for a long time. It
Mm.
is it is something that could be passed down hereditary,
yeah.
and doing my research, it's called endometriosis, right? And so it's a very complicated type of disorder and condition. It's a reproductive disorder, and it basically happens around the woman's menstrual cycle, right? So um, basically how I describe it to people is if people have read the Bible or know of women who suffer from fibroids and different things, it's kind of like basically like that in the sense of the woman of issue of blood, right? So like unfortunately, I instead of a girl, an average girl might bleed. Technically, you're supposed to bleed. I heard like I think 2 or 3 teaspoons um, unfortunately, but like, that's supposed to be your regular menstruation cycle period. A lot of people don't want to talk about that. That's how it's so sensitive. But for
Exactly.
me,
So you can talk about whatever you want to talk about.
Right.
I could, I could, sorry, brother, sorry. I
That
could,
is
you
to the
know, I could go from like maybe like 10 to like 15 days, almost 20 days, maybe even a month, unfortunately.
mm,
And with that comes symptoms of chronic pain in the pelvic floor area, chronic pain all over your body. I've got chronic pain in my back.
Mm.
You know, irritability, moodiness. You want to cuss people off when you know what's wrong with it, like type of thing.
Hmm.
Like it's kind of it really is like a Jekyll and Hyde type of. If you don't really know, it could mask and it could be presented as other things. So people might
Mm.
say, "Oh, mentally, mental health," so that girl's acting strange. She's weird, or maybe she's bipolar. She has some sort of mental health or something. Like over the years, people have tried to personally diagnose my condition because I was acting a specific way, but they didn't realize that I was in pain, right?
mm, mm,
Unfortunately, it does affect 1 in 10 in Canada. I know that for a fact. There is not a lot of research for it, but
mm,
they are coming and it's getting better.
Mm.
I am that 1 in 10, and there's a lot of African, Caribbean, Black women in Canada who suffer. You would never know. The
Right.
reason being is the only reason they would know is when they're probably ready to go have a child or be with their partner or their person or their husband and
Mm.
realize, wait, how come I'm not getting pregnant? And when you go through and you check it out, some women actually get the diagnosis,
Right.
would have to go and get the diagnosis and say, you know what, I think something else is wrong. And then it could be endometriosis. So I
mm,
just want to say, like you said, speaking to women, it might start off as just a polyp, a fibroid,
Mm.
painful sex. Painful sex is one of the major things, yeah, intimacy, like not being able to do specific things with your partner, like even specific positions, like that could be an indicator that something is really, really wrong. Right?
Right.
Um, and the funny thing about all that, about even though that is one of the symptoms, unfortunately, I never really kind of had that. But the funny thing is, I actually speak about sexual health, but because I'm so open to talk about sexual health and HIV and helping women unlock their sensualities and all that, and being comfortable in their skin, it's very easy for me to talk about women who say, you know what, girl, listen. I can't take that. I can't take you. He's too big. Like real things. I'm telling you, they come to me whispering at events, AfroFest or whatever. It's like, you know what? I'm having trouble. Can you help me? And I'm like, why? Why is everybody asking me like I might have the answer to this? But it's because I made a face and a name in the community that people could actually come to me and trust that, if they ask me something, that I will definitely try to get the answer for them and to help
Mm.
them to get to where they need to get to. But for me, it took 7 to 10 years to get my diagnosis. So I wouldn't want
Yeah.
any woman to go through that.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was diagnosed
So
Really?
and I'm 42. So, yeah.
Okay. Oh, good for you.
Yeah,
So,
I did not know that I had it, and nobody in my immediate family has it. So, yeah.
wow.
Hmm.
It's very rare for me. Like I said, I know there's women like us out there, but
Hmm.
it's just
Yeah.
something that's not talked about to our family, even like family members or other people. So
Yeah.
for you
Nobody.
to even come out and say that, thank you so much, sister. At least I know I'm not alone. And
Right.
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 Mhm.
See, and that's why you gotta talk about these things because there's people that's going through things like that, and they probably don't know, like you said, or they know and they don't know where to turn for help too, right? So, I mean, when you have things like that's not that common, I think it's always good to talk about it because there's people out there always searching for help, right?
Mm.
So, but what motivates you? I mean, you talk about having chronic pain and you're writing books and talking to people. What motivates you to just keep going? Because we're sitting here, you have a smile on your face just talking about all this, right?
what
So where
more?
does the energy come from?
Mhm.
You got me on my good days. Like I said, I have my good days and I have my bad days, but I really have to say my family has been really good in like just allowing me to be in a space where I can ask for help and get proper, like, they believe me. I think that's one thing that women, when they suffer in silence, that they don't speak up because they don't want that, they fear that rejection from the ones that they
Right.
most love.
Mm.
I have a partner, and he is amazing, my person, and he has been through the thick and thin with me. He's been to the hospital, sat with me, and spoken to the doctors. He himself has even done his research himself,
Right.
to help me cope. Like, like I'm very fortunate. One thing I did speak about in the book was, when I was married at that time, my ex-husband, that I realized through this process and writing that, not everybody may be competent enough to take care of their person or their partner, their spouse.
Mhm.
Right.
But I'm so happy that I found someone now who can, like, if I'm not well, if I can't get up and I can't walk, like, do, like,
Right.
my wifely duties or woman duties, wash, clean, cook, and all that. He's good. He's got my back, and I'm
Right.
truly happy and I love him. He's truly the best.
That's
All
a
right.
So
blessing.
that's, I have
Yeah.
a good team of support around me. And I also have a team of people online. I got some people I don't even know to say Facebook or Facebook. I've just met so much other, they call it Ender Warriors, and
Mhm.
other
Yeah.
Black women Ender Warriors. There's organizations in the States that unfortunately I had to look up my own. Like, like when you get a diagnosis and it's like, okay, well, you take this pill type of thing. There's literally, it's like, you're going to take this pill for the rest of your life and this is what you have. No
Mm.
pamphlet, no information, no nothing. I wasn't told that that I would have to have multiple surgeries. I wasn't told that this is going to affect my family planning and
Yeah.
what if I want to have a child and they're telling me, oh, you're going to have a child right now, and like, you know what, we're going to have to do surgeries. We're going to have to fix you up and take these things out. I'm like, wait, okay, nobody. That right there, the way how I felt leaving that doctor's office, so misinformed, not, lack of education. You know
Mm.
why? Because she herself, even though she went to medical school, endometriosis, she told me, is one chapter in her med book.
Wow.
One chapter.
Mm. Wow.
So, right? So you're seeing, so what happens here? it literally has to start from the top. The medical system, the medical schools, the nurses and the doctors have to be informed. Not only that, to serve a black woman like me, a Caribbean woman like me,
I
you're
was
telling me,
yeah.
right? All
Mhm.
women, when you go to the doctor to say, hey, I'm having a little trouble, I'm having a little trouble.
Yeah.
They're like looking at you like, all black women, and they want to give you pills and other things and do this and do that, whatever, not thinking of what all those things may affect your child
Yeah.
when you're ready to bear a child,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's what happened to me because I remember, back in the day when people didn't want to get pregnant all that stuff. You just went to the walk-in clinic with your girlfriend and you got those pills and you start popping
Brandy.
those pills,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I've been on those things, the patch, there's a what do you call it? The needle birth control, right? I'm not gonna name names, but what I'm trying to say is it's so embedded already as young women that these are the things that we must be not knowing that this is going to affect your future. I'm
Yeah.
not saying I'm telling you I'm a fact. I'm more like Miss Parker. I'm gonna be 42, and they said there's specific things that I did and I took in my 20s that may be blocking. And one of the reasons also with endometriosis, where where I may not be able to get pregnant. This summer, they're telling me I have another condition, the cousin of endometriosis. I don't know if you guys know about Gabrielle Union. You know the Gabrielle Union sir and Dwayne Wade. She shared on Oprah about, and she's trying to spend hundreds and thousands of dollars. Like, listen, they have that type of money, but couldn't get pregnant because of she had the other half of the condition that I had. So endometriosis, and there's something called endomyosis. So it doesn't matter how much money, look, it doesn't matter how much money you make. It doesn't matter how much who you are, celebrity, whatever. Tia Moy, Tia Moy, she had her two kids. She's having trouble too. She's a big endo advocate.
Mm-hmm.
Jamie Foxx's daughter just came out. There's a lot of them
Wow.
now talking about it because why? It's popular to talk about, right?
Yeah.
Hmm. Wow.
It's not taboo anymore to talk about your physical health. It's actually, it's trending to talk about yourself and to have the spotlight on you. And I think it's important, like Navi was saying, it's good to talk about these things because there are people out there that you can help educate. And through your work that you do and your books that you're writing, your book is almost going to be like a self-help book,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Right.
for women that are going through things and don't really know who to turn to, many of those answers are going to be embedded in your book. Um,
Right.
and I hope you do have a resource page in your book where people can turn to because you have to go
Mhm.
look for those things. I hope you embed that in your book where it's right there for people to access.
Right, right. Yes, definitely taking that into mind.
Hmm.
Like I said, if it wasn't for Facebook, I found a support group just, and I went again, being the only black woman at that meeting. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I sat there and I didn't say anything in that endometrius support group that was held downtown Toronto, and I did not say anything. I just listened to the stories of other people, and then I'm like, okay. And then I found eventually some of the volunteers they started their own group closer to where I was living, Etobicoke, Mississauga, which is great. So I started to go to Mississauga, and then I started to see women like me, women of color, and minority women, South Asian, and different women. I was like, oh, okay. So that's the first time that I actually ever saw somebody other than myself who had the condition. Remember, I didn't know about the condition until probably like I haven't heard about it until the last maybe 7 years. It was
Mm-hmm.
very brand new to me.
Yeah.
So when I'm writing in mind, especially like I said, being from the Caribbean and being from who I identify as. I need to write it in a sense of that I could also write it for people culturally, like these people who may not go to that. So I know this for a fact. I've spoken to women in Trinidad. I've spoken to women in Jamaica. When things have like lumps and bumps and things come back, they're not quick to go to the doctor
Right.
because you know, especially if you're living in a small village or somewhere, Doctor so and so already know your business, right? 'Right, like literally. So it's again, I really pray that like just women get together. It's a sisterhood and women coming out and literally saying, "Oh, I have this. I'm in 1 in 10." That's gonna create a movement to help Black women, Caribbean women, African women, women of color, because you, if I go to the doctor, I'm presented as okay. I live in Canada. Even the research, unfortunately, again the research. How can you get my input if I'm not included in the research?
Right. Right.
Right.
Right? Think about it. If you say 1 in 10, 1 in 10 or 1 in 5% have cancer, okay, yes, but you're specifically talking to white Canada, right? But what about the black women that have cancer, that have breast cancer, that have polyps, that who have died for breast cancer? You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So we really do need to think about the impact of even voting in the next government and the people who are going to be in charge, because it really does trickle down to who has say, what money funding
Right.
goes to specific conditions. I'm telling you, right? It's a serious thing. I believe right now, Black women's health in Toronto is in a crisis. That's just me personally.
And you know for a fact because I mean you're immersed in like when I first met you, I think it was women's health and women's hands. You were doing some type of workshops around women's health, and mainly it was Black women. I think you were focused on,
Yeah,
um, or racialized women. And
yeah,
this is where your work comes in. This is where all the wealth of knowledge and wellness workshop or coaching comes in. Um, so, what is your goal like? What is your goal as a wellness coach? What do you want to achieve?
that's I for me like
It's a
I'm
loaded
trying to
question.
see. I'm trying. I myself am trying to achieve optimal health and wellness. Right. That is the goal. You know, to get you to meet people where they're at. I really am looking to do person centered coaching, which is basically creating plans, a specific plan, like just like how when you go to the doctor, you get a treatment plan, you get a thing, you go to a therapist, you get a treatment plan, and you get diagnosed. I want to work with people who either are going through diagnosis, are going to be waiting for a diagnosis, and also have gotten their diagnosis. It could be endometriosis, it could be any other chronic condition. I'm not limiting myself, but I'm just saying I'm really kind of fine tuning um, older women and younger women, and moving that, like I said, optimal health and wellness, and
Mhm.
achieving it. Some women have to take those medications, like I was telling you about, right? They have to take those pills in order to function, to go to work, to take care of their families. I understand, I get that. I personally have weaned myself off more than once over the last going on 6, 7 years. I've used exercise and other means and other treatments, like I said, holistic things to counteract that pain and my symptoms. So I would
Mhm.
just be helping them in a sense of um, alleviating those symptoms, but also creating a plan that where endo doesn't disrupt their life, like how it disrupts my word about that and how it really disrupt my life. It
Mhm.
disrupt my family life. And unfortunately, I had to get a divorce. I had to move and leave the country, go back to Trinidad.
Yeah.
Buy my like literally like what do you call it? The what is it? The lady in that movie, right? You know, she went to Italy and she packed up all the stuff in the storage and she met somebody in Italy and she learned how to cook and live and all that stuff. It's like literally how Stella got her groove back.
Mhm.
I had to do that. But I don't want anybody to go through what I went through. If there's a way to hormones and being a woman already, we have we're multifaceted. There's so much beautiful, especially about being a black woman. Let me tell you, But when you get that, when you, as a black woman, as a Caribbean woman, when you're told that you may not be able to have a child, trust me, that rocks your world because all your life you're taking care of other people. All your life you're taking care of
Mhm.
your sister. You're telling somebody. The next thing somebody comes around and says, "Well, you can make a child." Trust me. Let me tell you, I felt like I was. I was like, what? Excuse?
Right.
I was like, really? But what I'm saying, I took it in, and that was last August. It's taking me time to unpack that. Okay, if I were not to have a child the way that you guys think I'm not going to be able to, right? Then what is this going to look like for me? Can I freeze my eggs? Surrogacy? Can I do IVF? Who has a $50,000 to $100,000 to do IVF and all that stuff? Right now, right? Because it's right now they need it. You need to get on it because right, Miss Pepper, right?
Yeah.
After
Yeah.
35, you already done past the strawberry, so come on, get top, get on it. Um, okay, I'm with my partner for 4 years. I'm speaking to him. Okay, yes, I would like to be married, before I have a child. And these things, I would like to have a proper order. But when you're trying to come and tell me what I need to do for myself, I say, listen, no, 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 no. I went to school for this, and plus, just like I said, I advocate and I teach people and I empower women. But listen, I had to get to a point where I said, listen, I have to stand up for myself. I have to empower myself.
Mhm.
Let me check myself first.
Mhm.
Let me see what I can do for myself.
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying. I hear the diagnosis, but at the same time, I still have to have faith that one day I'm gonna have that beautiful family that I envision.
Right.
I want my little girl. I want to braid a child here too.
Okay. Right. You got to speak it.
Right? So
Yeah.
my coaching is going to be totally different from anybody else's. Like I said, why? Like you said, Jewel, like I'm moving with rawness, authenticity, and I'm not I'm not sugarcoating it because the reality is, yes, they're saying we don't have that much time from 35 to 45 or whatever, 50, whatever. Hey, people are having babies in the 50s. Whether they have assistance or not, that's their business. But I don't feel it's right. I personally feel like bullying the medical system is kind of not the doctors necessarily, but I've been bullied in the medical system to take these pills, to take this shot, to take this treatment. I spent
Mhm.
thousands, I'll say thousands of dollars for this one shot before my first surgery, right? It cost $1,000. I
Wow.
did three of them,
Yeah.
right?
Damn.
I was not covered by ORIP. It's not even covered by your insurance or whatever. I was paying into an
Right.
insurance plan that wasn't even covering the things that I needed,
Yeah.
right? So
Well, we're gonna have to figure something out. You, through your journey, through your conferences and speaking to people, and hopefully, the doctors realize when there's more and more people that start to come forward as you speak, as a black woman speaking to other black women and encouraging people to speak up and have a voice. Maybe hopefully research can alleviate that mess of not having the financial means and that it's covered by. I mean, in the States it's a little bit different, Miss Papa. In Canada we have OHIP, which
Oh,
is covered by the government, so to speak. We pay into it through our
Yeah,
tax.
we pay for it.
oh, okay.
But healthcare is not free. Um,
Mhm.
Right.
you know, my hope for women who are going through this and women in general or people in general that are not able to get the proper health care that they need. My hope is that
Right.
eventually, more people will speak up and protest and and be able to get the medical attention and um, services that they deserve. You know,
Yeah.
so
No.
thank you for sharing that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is. Phew.
Um,
But Destiny, earlier in your conversation, you mentioned packing up and moving to Trinidad, and the reason why I want to ask this is because I really want to ask you what was that like being up here with like Joel just mentioned, we have healthcare, and going in Trinidad will be much harder to get the help that you need, right? What was that like to actually live here and go back to Trinidad? And again, the reason why I'm asking this is because I'm pretty sure there's somebody somewhere in the Caribbean that is going through this and probably just lost. What was that like, and how did you even like take care of yourself in Trinidad?
Right. So, unfortunately, going through a divorce and separating from my husband, I decided that I'm no longer obviously having a home, leaving what I know as home. I felt what would make me happy and make me feel like I have a home and I can just live and breathe and be at ease and stressless,
Go home.
and just basically start fresh. So my
Right,
home,
reset.
my initial home was Trinidad and Tobago, so that's why I decided to go back home because it's
Right.
always been a home for me. And
Right.
it was so I really did have family members, and it literally was sudden. Like I called people like maybe a few weeks before. I said, you know what, I just feel like I literally packed up everything, gave away stuff, like put stuff in storage, like literally like that movie, like and moved. And I the intention was not to come back. And I
Right.
lived in Trinidad for about 2.5 years. First, I studied
Right.
3 months. First, I studied 3 months, and then I studied 6 months, and then after 6 months, I just ended up staying somehow for 2.5 years. Technically, as a Canadian citizen, I mean, that's been the best call, but I am Trinidad. I am of Trinidad citizenship,
Right.
so I'm both. I'm dual, so they really can't say nothing, but in a sense. But the experience of moving back and realizing, yes, oh, okay, wait, even though I was born there, I still have to learn the culture, adapt.
Mm.
Even the medical, thank God during my time, I didn't end up in the hospital. And I
Right.
did go to a clinic, the walking clinic in Trinidad. I was suffering from low iron because when you're having menstruation or hemorrhaging, this is more, they say it's basically you're losing more blood than your body can like put back in, like function. So I went to a clinic, I remember in like I would believe it was like on Eastern Main Road on Barataya. And they did my blood work and they did my stuff and they said, you know what, you might have to go. They suggested that I go to the hospital and I'm like, no, I don't want to go to the hospital. Um, but so I didn't end up in the hospital in Trinidad, but I did end up in the hospital in Tobago, but that was for another case. But in the Tobago hospital again, I had my only ID was my passport, and they
Wow.
free of charge no services. I was like shocked. I thought I would have to pay or whatever, but I didn't
Right.
pay.
No.
And
Hmm.
in Trinidad, I learned about holistic healing. I learned about growing things in your backyard that can help you to put in your bush tea and what to drink and
Mhm.
whatever. That was my first encounter with holistic health and wellness and like herbal stuff, like drinking specific stuff. And like I have to tell you, I was so much better off in Trinidad. And I keep on
Mhm.
telling everyone, my family, my doctors, my friends to listen even though I live here and I'm very happy, I'm grateful for the healthcare system and all people and all that, I said, I'm not supposed to be here. I tell them all the time. I said, my spirit is home. And it's not even true that I found in Tobago. I decided to kind of just do like an odd job, like do like a summer apply to a summer NGO to work with kids with disability in Tobago, and it was there where I found it. I found home. I found what truly makes me happy, my purpose, and my optimal health, like my skin was flawless, like just growing a locks, girl. What's it like? Oh, I was thinking,
Yeah.
I was a secret sauce, man. Hot pepper with slight pepper, doubles. You understand? It was, oh, it was nice. It was nice. And then all of a sudden, like, my family was like, what are you doing? Like, you have a life in Canada. You have to work. You have to do this. You have to do this. So I'm like, what am I doing? I'm healing.
Exactly.
I'm
Period.
healing.
Period.
Yeah.
Have you been to the divorce? Have you been to divorce? Have you had to move? Have you had to have no place to live? Have you have to be sleeping on friends and family's couches until you find a place? I'm thinking. I'm coming up with a plan. I'm healing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
They thought you were living the life you were a beach bum.
I was, hey,
Right?
I was a really good beach ball because you know what happened in Tobago? My beach Babsy was selling jewelry and selling black soap and selling all kind of
Yeah.
things. Trust me.
Wow.
For my rent. I had my own apartment. I had my own apartment with air conditioning and my own stove and fridge and things. And trust me.
Okay.
You know who bought, the funny thing, you know who bought for me and supported me in my time when I was working in Tobago for that summer? White Canadian men. Look at that, eh? White Canadian men will come
Yeah.
down, they see me. I talk to them, they'll be like, you're not from here, where are you from? I'm like, listen, sir, you want to buy the bracelet? How much is the bracelet? How much you want to buy the bracelet? They're like, where are you from? Where are you from? I'm like, okay, I'm not saying that. They're like, no, where are you from? I said, okay, I live in Canada, I live in Canada. They're like, why you down there? I said, yeah, just do that thing, just take it up visa, take it up five. You want the bracelet or what? They say, they buy the
So you're hustling.
Wow. Yeah.
I, I literally worked on the beach, yes.
Yeah.
But I was a businesswoman. I ended up on Tobago News. There's so many there's
Vendor.
so many entrepreneurs on Sturby on that selling there. They're like, you speak. I said, listen, oh, I don't know. I don't. They're like, I spoke on behalf of Tobago. But the question was, do the vendors what are the vendors I was working with? Do the vendors get proper like do the vendors get stuff like get money and acknowledgement from Tobago Jazz? And I said no,
Mm,
because when people come to Tobago Jazz, is they already have the hotels booked, they already have the events that they want to go to, and the last thing is that before they leave, they're coming to Sorbet by the beach to and giving and want to barter, right? Give us
mm.
like and not pay vendors properly. So
Mhm.
I ended up being there. My uncle calls me, Miss Lady, I live in Trinidad all my life and I never been on news. I put on the news and I see you on the news. What are you doing?
Making headlines, putting the family name out there.
I said I was doing something. I was much.
Yeah.
I came back and I came back. I'm sorry, when I came back and I felt, I'm telling you, when I literally had to start from scratch to
Right.
change my name, to get my health card, renew my passport, literally felt like I'm a coming like an immigrant coming back years after into the country.
Wow. Wow.
No,
Don't you?
literally, like you laugh, but it's after divorce and after like when I go down to the court to officially get my divorce papers. I took myself to Spring Rolls and I sat down and I bought myself a 1 punch. And I'm like, let's. So where do we start now? So I'm always constantly. Um, if I didn't have my health, if I didn't have my family, if I didn't have faith that I could be where I am today, trust me, it's one thing to have everything when you have everything, you know. But trust me, once all those things are taken away, that's where your true character is shown. I'm telling you today.
Yeah. You seem like you're always reinventing yourself though. So you go to Trinidad, you start a new life, you come back here, you start a new life, and now you're on this journey of wellness coaching. You're an author, and now you're about to write your second book. and so nothing can stop you. You definitely are a warrior.
Yes.
Um,
Hmm.
your new book. So you talked a little bit about your first book, which was the remind me the title. I was just looking at it. The title of your book was, hold on, let me bring it up. The Perfect Storm. And your new book is going to be called In the Eye of the Storm.
Yes, the perfect
Mhm.
storm. And my new book is going to be in the eye of the storm because I feel like that's where I am right now. The perfect storm was the diagnosis where I feel when two storms come together and collide, like two hurricanes, that's how it's called the perfect storm. It could either kill you or you literally have to be hanging out to something, you just have to like totally dismantle your area and like mash up everything. That's what I got,
Right.
right? So
Right.
the perfect storm. I got this on my friend's sailboat when I was sailing also too. The name of the subtitle, Navigating the Storms of Life in Messy Waters. Trust me, if the healthcare system, if somebody says the healthcare system is not messy, I would say you lie. I tell you, you lie. It's messy. But here what? It's not only messy here, it's messy everywhere, right? So
Yeah.
my whole theme is still being like a captain, a navigator, helping as a wellness coach, helping women navigate the healthcare system in messy waters. And so I'm still trying to keep the theme of the storm, the water, and in the eye of the storm is basically where I feel right now. There's
Mm.
specific things that I wrote in the perfect storm 3 years ago that are now coming to pass. And I'm like, whoa. I didn't plan to be a prophetic writer, like, like to write something that I would, and that would actually come to pass.
Right.
So, Eye of the Storm is, unfortunately, they said that I'm going to have to need another surgery. So I've already started writing, but I also want to actually document full by full, like every day, how I felt while after my recovery of my third surgery,
Oh
Mhm.
wow.
right?
Mhm.
Nice.
You can see people don't you see documentation and people talking about on YouTube,
Right.
oh, I had my surgery and this tip and this was good and this was great. Yeah, but no. I want to get to the nitty gritty so people could say, you know what, this illness is not going to take me out. But listen, I have to fight on the specific things I have to do in order to live well and for me to live in my optimal health.
Mhm. I had a question about your natural remedies. Do you plan on including that in any of your books?
So I think I'm going to actually include some stuff in my coaching,
Okay.
right? So like maybe even like do a workshop or something incorporated where we all make it together, like the
Hmm.
herbs and different things together, right? So I'm definitely going to incorporate that. I also wanted my deepest desire and dream is also to have a Black women's wellness retreat
Hmm.
where I bring different specialists, but these are women who actually have our
Right.
condition, endometriosis or
Right.
PCOS,
Right.
or suffer from pain, and just sit amongst sisters to say, you know what? How do we cope? Like, how do you do your everyday life? How do you do your family life? You know, how do you like just live and cope with this? Like,
Yeah.
and to get to, I really see myself doing that one day too. It's in the works.
That's amazing. I don't think that's out there yet, so it's needed.
Yeah. Yeah. You could probably get
Yeah.
a lot of
Very
information
good.
from just sitting around with each other too, right?
Yeah, because sometimes, like for me, being newly diagnosed with it, I feel helpless at times. I don't know what to do. So that platform that you would create would be amazing because you
Right.
get, like you said, tips. What might work for one person might not work for the other, but it might work for you if you
Yep.
haven't tried it. So that's amazing. I like that.
Right.
Look at this networking already. Look, you have your first like client or not client, but like sister endo warrior to start doing things, and she's in Texas, so you already have an international connection to
That's
start.
amazing.
Have it
Definitely, I would greatly appreciate you connecting to you after this, Papa, because like I said, I know in the US they do operate differently. The good thing about the US is they actually have an organization called Endo Black, and that's where I've gotten some of my resources too. And I'm like, you know what? Imagine if we had like a sisterhood in Canada. That would be great.
Mhm.
Like even internationally, right? It
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily have to be like we're excluding anyone or like whatever, but no, we want something for us. What about us? We're like,
Right.
what about us? Right? So I'm really happy to and I hope like to even if I could kind of connect you to other sisters. I'm telling you, the sisters in your area,
Oh, we
like I said, you
connected.
probably go to the grocery store, you walk by them, you wouldn't even know, right? So
Exactly.
the most important thing is to be connected. One thing I love about platforms like this is how we know how to connect and who
Yeah.
to connect to.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
like I said, if it wasn't for social media, I honestly don't know. And Facebook, and doing my own research besides reading books. Right now, besides my book, there's no other account of a black woman that I know of writing about endometriosis. There's no black woman guide to
Mhm.
health in Canada. Now, if you go on Amazon, there's many Black women guides in on Amazon for the U.S. because more Black women are writing it, but they're writing it more from a research and health, like a professional doctor side, right?
Yeah.
But what about like what Mr. was talking about, that a self guide, a self help book?
Hmm.
There's not, right? I could write that. I could write a self-help book, but I think what really identifies with people and me and how I tell my story and how I'm a storyteller and I'm just speak, I think people connect more with stories,
Yes.
right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Events
Mhm.
and
Hmm.
experiences. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right about
Wow.
that because I was all over the internet and all that kept popping up was research, research, research. I'm like, can I get something just in plain black and white? You know? Yeah.
Um,
yeah, yeah.
well, Miss Savory, this was very educational.
Mhm.
Um, I'm gonna stop complaining about my sciatica pain. Like, I got sciatica. That's the like I get mad.
Oh, okay.
Like
No, you know what? You know, it's not. It's actually not. Like when I say like I used to operate in that whole what people say, oh, it's a sad story, it's unfortunately sad. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry that happened to you. But you know what?
right,
Everything happens for a reason. I've embraced it,
facts.
and as you can see, I haven't. Like I said, it's a perfect storm. It didn't take me out, right? And unfortunately, I'm they call me the bounce back queen here, but
Mhm.
they're
Mm,
not they're not other there's other women like myself who may not bounce back from their family not believing them, being
right,
medically gassed,
right,
their work telling them that they can't take off enough work around the end of the month just because they don't want to say nothing to keep their job. These are hidden things,
mm,
again, that women continue to do.
Women.
I just learned to adapt, and at this point, I'm being unapologetic about it. This is me. Really.
Mhm. Mhm.
yeah,
That's good.
yeah,
We
definitely like
almost like
that.
need to come for her to come back and talk about her book when she's done writing her book.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
Yeah.
When will your book be ready by? Do you have any deadlines, or are you still in writing mode?
It's yeah, so yeah, it's I would definitely want to publish it this year because last summer the other diagnosis that I received after, I wasn't prepared for surgery this year, so it probably
Right.
definitely would have been published by now, right? It probably would have been finished published by December, but because of, again, I have to now push things around and to make sure that I'm well enough to go through surgery, but also to be able to recover and to be
Right.
able to have the finances. People don't think that, like again, even though we have the healthcare system, okay, we still have to pay for drugs because these things are not covered. So it literally is going to cost me. it could cost me between $10,000 to $15,000 just to have the surgery.
Wow.
Like
Mm.
when I say recovery for me to be well, this includes food, medication, for Uber driver to like if something happens and I have complications, I have to be in the hospital. If I had to have to buy like stuff from Amazon or from the doctor's pharmacy, I'm literally budgeting myself between $10,000 to $15,000 because unfortunately I don't trust the system like that. I don't trust them. I
Right.
don't. I don't. I have to be put first for me, right?
Yeah.
I like that.
You're
All
covering
right.
her bases.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Well, this was educational. I want to thank you for joining us. Unfortunately, like time is up. It's 8 o'clock, and so hopefully you could join us again, like Jewel said, when your book is ready, and we could continue the discussion because this is very educational, and I honestly think we need more shows like this to
Yeah.
reach out more for people, right? So thank you for joining us. If you want to go ahead and plug in any of your social medias or your book that's already written, the floor is all yours. Go ahead and do so.
So it is The Perfect Storm Navigating the Storms of Life by Stacey Savory, my real name. My online name is Destiny Savory. You can get it on Amazon. My links are below. Follow me on Destiny Savory, Destiny underscore Savory underscore on Instagram. And if you have any questions or any inquiries or for coaching and workshops or speaking engagements, you can email me at iambustmcleavery@gmail.com.
Nice.
Good stuff.
Well, thank you for joining us, Destiny. This is really good. So let's do this again, all right?
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
I would love to do a follow up. Definitely.
Don't worry,
Good luck in it.
don't worry, we got you.
All
Well,
right.
thanks for joining us. There you go, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Destiny Savory, and I hope she reached out to anybody out there that's, if you even know somebody that's going through something like this. It might not be you directly, but you probably know somebody that's going through it. Um, you know, Try to get in contact with her and get some information or just parley back and forth. All right, so yeah, man. So it's a good show, guys.
Yes.
It was. Having a new face, a new host on the show, another female.
Right.
You didn't feel too dominated, did you? Yeah. Take care.
He held his own pretty good.
Who, me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, just I'm just taking it in, man. Like, I mean, today was more educational than entertaining, right? So,
Yeah.
one of those things you listen and just learn one, two things. So, I appreciate her being here because, man, she's smiling through this whole interview. She's talking about chronic pains. She's talking about moving from Trinidad to
Yeah.
Canada. And I'm like, wow, like
And that's
I
only a
got a
snap.
little pain.
Right, right. Oh,
Yeah,
that's what a snapshot. Like, wow.
yeah. And the time really, I literally watched the time went by and it's like, damn, it's an hour already. So,
Yeah.
and I
Mhm.
know she has more to say.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
so definitely, probably in the next season, we should definitely do more of these type of things. I mean, we got more of these shows coming on, but that
Mhm.
that topic, I think we should try to target again for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I think wellness, mental health and wellness in our community is huge, and it's taboo to talk about it. But you know what? We need to get out of that mentality that it's not for us. Therapy's not for
yeah,
us. Talking about these things is not for us. We're strong. You know, we need to talk about
Mhm.
well,
these things. We need to go
yeah,
back to uniting
Yeah.
and
mm-hmm,
sitting together and discussing things to make us stronger.
facts,
Yeah.
facts,
So
yeah. I mean, we have and that's really not our fault as a people, but we have this thing about doctors, a lot of us, right? Um, and sometimes we're like, nah, we're good. We don't really care for this, but I mean, we still got to become strong amongst each other if we can't trust the other people to take care of us, right? So,
Right.
yeah, well, do this again next week,
Yep.
right back here, TDN TV, 7 p.m.
Yes.
Dissect. So, I'm Novelist, and I got two beautiful women with me, so let them go ahead and do their thing, and we will see you guys next week. Cheers.
I miss
All
Papa.
right. Bye-bye. Oh. And
That was a terrible exit, guys. Stay tuned for next week promo video, man. We'll see you guys next week. Have a blessed week and a blessed weekend. Love, peace all the way. Deuces.
Good night.
My name is Mary Claire Giroux, and I'll be on Dissect. Saturday, February 11th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 p.m. Caribbean Time. Join us on tdntv.net and on Island Therapy on either Facebook or YouTube. See you all there.